Well, I want to just share a bit of my past life before I was born again, that, about my lifestyle, that I came from a gay background, um, and I wanted to be a housewife. I was feminine. I wore clothes, certain clothes, and cosmetics and what have you. And and so my weekends, I'd, I was living in the Cross at the time. At the Cross itself, where I'd pick up men, but that's not who I really was. I tried male prostitution. That wasn't where it was at with me. It was quite dangerous in the 60s to do that. It was also illegal. Homosexuality was illegal also. And so I really didn't want that. I wanted security. I wanted a husband, um, and so forth. So anyhow, I continue with the one night stands, but that is not where it was at with me. Um, I finally met this man in the park in the Cross. It's well known. Um, and so I went home with him, but I had made it clear, before you touch me, I used other words, but I won't use them. But before you touch me, I want to know if you're going to marry me. And if the answer is yes, there is to be no other men in the relationship. There is to be no alcohol. And because I don't believe, I took marriage quite serious, that there was to be no adultery. I also saw alcohol as a threat to the marriage, especially in the gay lifestyle. So he said, okay, I will give it all that up and marry you. So we decided then to go to New Zealand. We went to New Zealand, and then we went from Wellington, we went to Milford Downs Motel. We had a big engagement party there. All these guys turned up. They wanted to marry us, but I wanted a white wedding with roses. And so anyhow, we went from there to Christchurch. The crime we got involved in was fraud, and so we had to say our vows very quickly because of we had to get a ship to go from one island to the next, and of course the police were looking for us at the same time. So we did that, and we had photos, and the sailors stood to attention as we walked down, and so, but to me it was quite serious. It was a serious lifestyle. It wasn't something I was playing around with, because I was like this since I was a child. There was something about me. My father knew there was something different about me, and and I didn't understand, because sexuality was not talked about in our home. So I didn't understand why I felt this way towards boys, and then later on towards men. And so anyhow, but I was very happy. I was very contented, and then we travelled from one city to the next, and then we wouldn't go anywhere without each other. We went to Auckland, and I walked up the main street of Auckland, Queen Street, and Norman, I don't know where Norman was at the time, but I walked into this bookshop. It was a Christian bookshop, and I spoke to this woman behind the counter, and I was dressed with lace and what have you, and she picked up that I was not the norm that comes into a shop. So I went home that night. We lived around the block from where the shop was in Auckland, and that night, this word came clear. It woke me out of a deep sleep. Norman was working down the road in an all-night coffee shop, but I was in a deep sleep, and these words came ringing in through the darkness of the night. My spirit will not always strive with man. Well, I got dressed, furs and all, and fled down the street, and I said, no, I'm not going home. I stayed there all day, all night, and then I went to see this woman that I'd seen the night before, and I said, well, I've got to be honest with you. The man I was telling you about, he is not my stepbrother. He is my husband. And from that moment on, her and I clicked. And God spoke to her and said, this could be your son. So therefore we would spend hours talking about things, and so this could go on. And I was not interested. She was a Christian woman. I was not interested. But she accepted me because we were both like a pair of, well, she was a woman, of course, but I felt like a woman. So when we got together, we'd talk as though we were. If I had a fight with my husband, we would talk about things. And these things were real in my life at that point. I was 24. And so anyhow, we moved to another place outside of Auckland, and I still maintained a friendship with this lady, and I went to this shop, and this man felt to get people to pray for me throughout Auckland, but not only pray, but fast. And the Bible says clearly, more things are wrought by prayer and fasting. There is no way I was going to let anyone change me in heaven or on earth. There was no way. I was very happy, very contented. But God had other ideas. This man got on the phone, apparently, and he rang all these people up to fast at 9 p.m. every night. But I decided, on my own bat, to kneel in the afternoon and say, God, I don't know what I want, but you do. Straight there and then, I felt this presence come over me. Never felt it before. Never known what it was before. But it was not the norm. And I ran. And I made it clear to him, don't touch me, I'm afraid of you. And so anyhow, at night at 9 p.m, I got before in my bedroom on my knees. I thought, I'll see what happens, because all these people are fasting and praying. Straight there and then, God filled the room like electricity. And it was holiness. God is holy. I was sin, but he didn't judge me, he just loved me. And he filled that room, and it came over me. And I said, don't. I was still scared of him. And the next night, the same thing happened again. At 9 o'clock, God began to fill the room with his presence. I ran out and told Norman with excitement, because I said, he's here. And Norman couldn't understand. But anyhow, I decided to pray with Norman in the lounge room, but nothing happened. There was no presence in the room. There was just nothing. So I went back in the bedroom, and God just filled it. God was filled it. The Bible says many are called, but few are chosen. And God was making it clear that he wanted me for himself. He didn't want man to do it, he wanted to do it himself and to receive all the glory. So I still wasn't surrendered, I still hadn't received him. I just thought, well, this is interesting, the whole bit that was happening. Friday night, the same thing happened at 9 p.m. sharp. He was never before and he was never late. He was dead on time. But I was getting excited. This was exciting me because it was different. But he wasn't judging me still. He still wasn't saying, what you're doing is wrong. He just kept loving me and drawing me to himself. And no one can come to the Father except the Spirit of God draws him. And so he was drawing me to himself.